Unreal Engine 5. It has been shown a couple days ago at a Epic Games event, and it is showing PlayStation 5 gameplay. The whole internet exploded because we just saw the first glimpse of PlayStation 5 gameplay. But obviously, the internet being the internet, discussion started. Wasn't this just a tech demo? Was it a real-time demo? Is it playable? Is this going to be a realistic look? Is this going to be available on other platforms? Did Xbox just pack their bags and quit? In this video, we're going to answer all these questions, look at the demo, and I will show you exactly how realistic this is and whether or not we're going to see it on other platforms. Let's go. So like I said, there's two big questions going out there in the world right now, and let's just start with the first one, the big elephant in the room. Is this PlayStation 5 engine, or is this a multi-platform thing? And to answer it simply, it's multi-platform. This is going to be available on the new Xbox, it's going to be available on high-end PCs that meet the hardware requirements, and maybe down the line it might even be available to mobile. But Unreal Engine has been around for years, it has been multi-platform for years. In fact, it is known to be very compatible with multiple platforms, so saying that this is only going to be on the PlayStation is really silly. The Xbox Series X has different hardware, but to a degree similar hardware, and yes, it's going to be able to run Unreal Engine. So if you're an Xbox fanboy or if you're a PC gamer hoping to get the same engine and having games that look like the demo that we saw, don't worry, it's coming. It is going to be multi-platform, and yeah, there's no reason to think that this is a Sony exclusive. Second thing I see online a lot, and that is the biggest discussion, is how realistic is this? Is this really what games on the PlayStation 5 are going to look like, or in the next generation, I should say? Or is this just a marketing thing where they just pull everything out of that PlayStation 5, give us a short little demo, and everybody is hyped? Well, just like with a lot of things in life, it is neither. There's a little gray area in the middle that holds the truth, in my opinion. Neither of these groups are right, but also neither of these groups are wrong. There's nuance to it, and yeah, I'll try to explain it to you as best as I can. To look at how realistic this is, I personally think there's 3 points that you need to take into consideration. The first one being that this was a real-time demo. Now, what does it mean that it's a real-time demo? Well, like the name says, it is in real time. It is playable. So I saw a lot of discussion online that this was like a tech demo or maybe like a cinematic, and it isn't. If you don't know the difference, a real-time demo essentially is that this is a playable video game. So if you and I had our hands on a PlayStation 5 dev kit that is running this demo, and we had a controller in our hands, certain parts of the demo, you saw the guy playing it look to the right, we could have looked to the left or up or down. This is playable. It works like you've played any other video game. There's no scriptedness to it. What? I don't know if that's a word. So essentially, it means that some people are saying this is like a Pixar movie, right? Or maybe like Shrek, a DreamWorks movie. You know how Shrek comes out of the toilet after he ripped part of the princess book and he wiped his ass with it. That is all scripted. If you've watched Shrek for the 300th time this quarantine, which I can fully understand, it's going to be the same. Shrek is going to move the same, look the same, and talk the same. As you know, with video games, at certain parts in the video games, especially if there's open world games, you can go to the left or you can go to the right, and you decide. And this was playable, meaning that it's not a Pixar movie, it's not a DreamWorks movie, it's not an animated movie. It was non-scripted, playable in real time, which obviously bodes well for the argument that this is very, very much a realistic look of what we're going to see on the PlayStation 5. But like I said, it's a little bit more nuanced. So let's get to the second point, which kind of counters this, and that is that this was made by Epic Games, and Epic Games own Unreal Engine. So with many things in life, it's always easier to work with stuff that is yours. You know, it's easier to type on the keyboard that you're used to instead of working on someone else's keyboard. Apple's products, even though they don't have the best hardware, will usually run really fast because both hardware and software are made by Apple. So they sort of like have some synergy there. And the same goes with this, is that yes, this is a engine that is, you know, game developers are working on it, and any other game developer could be working on it, because I believe Unreal Engine, I don't know if it's open source, but you know, big game developers, if they have enough money, they'll be able to work with this engine. But it's always going to be different if you're working on your own engine than it is to work on somebody else's engine. Not only is it more practical, I feel like game developers at Epic Games have more influence on this engine. So they'll be like, hey, when I'm creating a game on Unreal Engine 4, I run into this, this, and this, and this. And they send that to the guys that make the engine, which are in the office next door, so to speak. And they'll be like, oh, okay, thanks, Greg. Look at it and be like, oh man, that's a great points. Let's just add that to Unreal Engine 5. So that way it just works more smoothly. And I know this kind of sounds like a stupid example. I'm obviously very much oversimplifying it, but the fact still is that working on an engine that is built by the same company as that you work at is always going to be easier than working on an engine that is built by a company that you have essentially nothing to do with. So on one hand, we have the argument that it's a real-time playable demo, boding well for the realism. On the other hand, we have the fact that it's an Epic Games engine and an Epic Games tech demo. Well, there's this third argument that I think you can make that sort of votes against it being realistic for now. And that is that this is a very, very short demo. It's like a 10-minute demo of someone walking through caves and flying and seeing statues, and it looks brilliant. It looks awesome, don't get me wrong, but you have to take in mind this is not a full game. If you and I go out to the store and we pay 60 bucks for a game, we expect at least 12 hours worth of fun. And this demo obviously is not that. So to conclude, yes, it's a real-time playable demo, but it's a short one, and it's also created by the guys that also made the engine. So I think personally that yes, this is a realistic look. It's just not a realistic look for the end of this year. All the games that are going to come out at the end of this year are not going to look like this. And to add on to that, and that's not necessarily having to do with this demo, but it is something that has to do with the way games are developed right now, and that is that all the games that are already announced so far are also coming out on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, meaning that they're cross-generation. So you have these games that are coming out on this generation consoles that also need to work on the newer generation of consoles. And this tech demo that we saw is going to exclusively work on the next generation of consoles. So games that have been announced now that are going to come out at the end of this year are not going to look like this because they also need to work on the previous generation of consoles. So yes, it's a realistic look, not for the end of this year. My personal expectation is that we're going to see something similar to this next year, or maybe the year after that even, before we get a full-fledged like open world game that has graphics like this. So to summarize, the two main questions that have been asked online: is this multi-platform? Yes, this is most likely also going to work on an Xbox, not necessarily this specific demo, but this engine will most definitely be available for developers that create games also for Xbox or PC. So it's multi-platform, don't worry about that. Secondly, is this a realistic look? Yes. Are we going to see games looking like this at the end of this year? I think no. I think the earliest we're going to see games looking similar to this, either because they're working on Unreal Engine 5 or working on a similar engine that uses similar aspects that Unreal Engine 5 has, is going to be next year. The end of the next year, maybe even the year after that, before we're going to see this. So to be short, maybe like GTA 6, that most likely will come out in the next 5 years somewhere. We will see that game looking like this. Obviously not specifically exactly the same like this, but the way the light hits, the way the light is real time, the real-time ray tracing, stuff like that, we're most likely going to see that like in the next GTA. We're going to see this down the road when the new generation of consoles are settled, when they're no longer new, but when they're more like the current generation of consoles. That's when we'll see games looking like this. Was it false marketing? No. Is it making people a little bit too hopeful as to what the state of the next generation graphics is right now? Yes, kind of. Sony, you did a great job. Everybody forgot about the Inside Xbox that happened like last week. Everybody's talking about your tech demo now. So yeah, let's just make it true. I really want to see games like this next year, and I really hope that games like this will look like this in the future. So thank you very, very much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like if you like this video, leave a dislike if you didn't like the video, but then please also leave a comment as to what you think should be better about this video. Let me know down in the comments anyway what you think of Unreal Engine 5, if you're excited or if you think it needed to look better, or maybe it looked worse than you expected. Let me know down in the comments, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button because I make videos every week and you can see them here on the channel talking about camera stuff, geeky stuff, video game stuff, or video game engine stuff. Who knows? I'll see you guys next week. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you're notified when I make a new video. And I want to thank you very, very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.